chance and then you blew it.
That is the most absurd statement of the year.
Nice. Nice.
Oh, baby.
I'm in my zone, I'm feeling it.
Live from West St. Paul Studios, it's time for MinneZona Sports Live with DJ Matty C and Paul the Shield Vold.
And this is MinneZona Sports Live. We are back. Yes. Episode, 134. Yeah, I think that's what I put. 134 episodes of MinneZona Sports Live. We're happy that you've joined us. And without further ado, I'm your host, DJ Matty C, a.k.a. Matt Kelly, a.k.a. Matty C, etc., etc., etc. And all the way from Woods and Shore Studios in Aiken, Minnesota, Paul Volt, Shield. What's going on there, Shield?
You know, usually it's this time of year we're kind of licking our wounds from the end of football season and also just praying when our pitchers and catchers are going to report. But now we're just like, let's see how we can feel about this time of year. Vikings in the playoffs. Carloscorrea is a Twin. Life is great once again for a Minnesota sports fan. And, of course, it's always great, especially on a Wednesday night at 7 o'clock because we're here each and every chance that we can here with MinneZona Sports Live.
Well said. Well said. And I think, like you said, Correa's back. We last week, we didn't give it a good chance. We really didn't. Mm-hmm. But it happened. So that's going to be what's going on with Hot Take, Carlos Correa. We're talking about the Wolves. Are they back? I'm currently watching them. They seem like they are. So things are going well in that department. So after that, we got some Infinity rankings. And a little surprise. Just saying. ARA, a lot going on with that. Some more Twins news with that, too. Hopefully. We'll see. But we'll get to that in a little bit. But, Voldy, we have a winner. We have a winner for Pick'em, and we thank you, the Zoners, for doing the Pick'em each and every week during the regular season. You know what the sad thing is? The sad thing is I almost caught up to him. And
you got close.
I was one off this week, catching that one person. Granted, I could have done more. Sure, heck yeah, I could have done more. But at the same time, someone else has got to win. It's much like Vickers. He beat me in the tiebreaker last year, and I can't win my own thing, right? Well, I mean, you can, but
you can, but it's kind of frowned upon.
But it's for the Zoners. That's what I'm talking about. So we'll go with that. But yeah, I got who we have, and the winner is boom, Ryan Golm is our 2022 Pick'em champ. Yep, the Packer fan won Pick'em. He won. He had 175 points. He ousted not only myself, but he beat the both co-hosts, especially some guys that came close. Matt Johnson was getting close there at 172. Joe Service, 177. Jack Vickers, our guy, 168. Molly Vold, 166. Nick Dolhoff had a good week with 166 as well. So, congratulations to all the Zoners. Make sure you guys come back next year. We have a good time with it. Coom will be winning the MinneZona bundle. That means he gets a shirt, he gets a hat, and he gets some stickers. So, hey, what's better than that? So, congratulations to Coom, even though you're a Packer fan. But you know what? It doesn't bother me because the Packers lost to not only the Lions, but they're out of the playoffs. And
hell yeah,
I couldn't be more happy. Watching the Lions just beat them. Aaron Rodgers acting like a fraud as per usual. So you want to talk about frauds? there's your guy.
Rods.
But
Yeah.
we'll save that for our Infinity rankings. We'll get to that. But anyway, let's get it going. Some Tater Tot Hot Take. Like you said, Voldy, we got to go with the big news the other day. Today. Technically today. I don't know it was yesterday, but officially, yeah, we'll get to that. So let's get it going with some Tater Tot Hot Take.
Fresh out of the oven, it's Tater Tot Hot Take.
It is fresh. It is out of the oven. And this one was tough to see coming. I mean, we didn't think this would happen, but Carlos Correa is back as a Minnesota Twin. You know, a couple weeks ago, Voldy, we did our interview with our guy, Coach Payne.
Yeah.
Coach Payne was happy that they got Correa. He talked about it, but we had to get rid of it. We had to get rid of it because he went to the Mets after that, and then we're like, oh, well,
allegedly went to the Mets.
Allegedly, yeah, let's go with that. Allegedly. And then now, in a sudden turn of events, which no one really saw coming, the Minnesota Twins signed Carlos Correa. 6 years, okay? So a 6-year deal, 200,000 million. Oh my gosh, I'm losing my mind. Pending a physical, and he passed it. So claps out to Carlos Correa for passing the physical, because that was the big thing that people were like, is he going to pass it? Is he not going to pass it? $200 million is a lot of money. Lots of money. I'm surprised, for one, especially with the amount that was put up there. But also, you know, with the years, I mean, it really got cut in half because the one with the Giants, 13 years, $350 million. And then the Mets, 12-year, $315 million. So it's like, what is going on? And, you know, that's how it happened. And, you know, zoners, give us your thoughts on what that situation was like and for you. And if you thought that Correa, it's good that Correa's back, it's bad that Correa's back. I mean, you give us your thoughts. But, Voldy, I ask you this. Where do they go from here? I mean, you have him signed. He's back. He's going to be here for a while. And he's getting paid. So, I mean, what can we expect here these next 6 years, apparently?
AL Central Division titles, at least 3 division titles within the next 6 years. I am calling it right now. Cut the tape right here. Clip it. Do what you got to do. AL Central Division champions. 3 division titles in the next 6 years with Carlos Correa and the squad, because he got him. He got Buxton under control for another 6 years as well. This is probably the best that has happened for the Twins in some time. You look at it as well, because of the fact the time that went between the announcement of the Mets signing Carlos or getting Carlos Correa and the time up until they say, hey, the Twins might be getting him back. Not a whole lot of news. Obviously, the conversation talking about, you know, the physical and everything, and then not a whole lot after that. You know, it was all radio silent was the thing, and there was the same situation between the announcement of the Giants deal and possibly the Mets going in as well. The lack of no news was very concerning for Carlos Correa and, of course, for Twins fans too. And the opportunity, they weren't going to let this slip by a third time for the Twins, and they let it fall right into their hands. Obviously, you cut the deal in half, 6 years, $200 million, as opposed to, you know, the 11 and 12-year million, 12-year deals that he was looking at with the Giants and also the Mets too. I mean, you save yourself $150 million easily, especially from one deal, then $115 million. You still get the same player. Obviously, the pending physical part, he did pass it. Look, the Twins were going to do everything possible to make sure that he passed the physical. Obviously, you've probably seen the video of the security guard just doing that was going to be the physical for Carlos Correa. It's like, okay, he walked in the office, good to go sign the deal, let's get this done with. Because having Carlos Correa not only changes, of course, the makeup of your lineup defensively and offensively, and he said it too throughout the season as well, that, you know, he wanted to be here. This clubhouse, obviously, it's kind of a similar situation they had in Houston when him and Altuve were first coming up.
Right.
A lot of guys, hungry, some really good talent, a lot of young guys, young starting rotation, even with that coming off, a good mix of veterans with the leadership that they have with the young guys coming up too. This roster has the potential. I'm just saying right now, they have a similar situation to where they could be what Houston was 5-6 years ago and competing not only for, obviously, action in postseason, but obviously hopefully taking that next step. It's going to take a guy like Correa to really all bring it together. We thought maybe we were going to get it with Josh Allen, and we all know how that worked out with that rented 1.5-year season for him too. But having him back, obviously, he has, that surgically repaired right knee that did raise right leg, I should say, that was concerning for the Mets and for the Giants. I think early on the Twins are in a better situation than both other teams were when it comes to the depth. I mean, he can go to DH. He can obviously still play shortstop, still one of the best shortstops in the league as well. Definitely top 5 for sure. But he doesn't have to play in the field every day as well. It's going to be nice for him to play every day so he can get used to it. But, they have, a little bit of help behind him. See if Royce Lewis is going to play more at the major league level this year, or if he's going to stay down with the Saints for another year, at least get acclimated once again with the new ACL and everything. But overall, this was a deal that the Twins could not pass up. You get him, basically half the amount, half the cost in the amount of investment. No player, no opt-outs of the contract. It's 6 years. That money is going to be in tow nonetheless. It's a great move by the Twins. It's going to pay dividends here as we go here these next 6 seasons.
Right. I mean, and zoners, let us know your thoughts here too. I mean, about the deal and what your thoughts in the chat, however. But I'm kind of in the same boat as you. But, I mean, it's, I could go into the whole poll ad thing. I could go into the whole pitching thing, too, and whatnot. But I'm not going to, because I want this to be more of a positive experience. And this should be, because I always said, if the Twins don't re-sign Correa, I don't see a situation where they come out of it or, be contenders in the AL Central. I'm not saying as World Series, champions or anything, but I mean, if you want to be competitive, you got to have those types of players.
Right.
And I think they're slowly starting to realize that, but let's remember that he is a young guy. He's only 28, right? Correa. Yeah. And you go out and they just have this notion. And we all know what it is. They go out and they get guys that are 5 years past their prime trying to revive it or something like that. And it doesn't work like that. They took the first step of getting somebody who has all-star talent and being able to give them that enough money to do that. Now, am I surprised that the poll ads and the Twins gave up that much money? Yeah, I am. Because it is a big contract, but this is how things are these days. And this isn't a 13-year, whatever, 12-year deal. This is a 6-year, $200 million. That's fine. I'm totally fine with that. It's not a situation where they're like, oh, he's in this big contract, he's not going to produce. Well, this is a contract where I can look at it and say, okay, he's got 6 years to kind of, keep playing at a high level. And I think that there's enough there. So I feel good about it. I think especially the friendship that he has with Buxton, I think is very helpful because they both kind of came in together. Buxton's got to stay healthy. That's a whole different story. But he really likes Minnesota. And that's why I kind of felt like, and I don't know about you, Voldy, or the zoners too, but I kind of felt like a part of me was like, he wants to be here.
Exactly.
He wants to be
said
here.
It too, that he wants to be here is the thing. And the fact that anybody's saying that about the Twins organization, especially at a level that Carlos Correa is at, is an ultimate compliment. And the fact that it finally comes full circle, I don't know how and why we got to the point. Obviously, the years and the amount of money was certainly nice, but the fact that the Giants and Mets, didn't like, ultimately, I don't know what it was about the physical that just ultimately turned them away from the likes of Carlos Correa. But what their loss is the Twins' benefit.
So that's my next thing. Should we be concerned? And that's kind of the big question with the physical
Probably.
and things like that. And you know what? I'm just glad that they were able to just kind of take a risk here. And,
Right.
We thought about that with Donaldson and see where it would go. But it's one of those things where it's like, oh, it's not that big of a deal if this flops, because at least they're going out and they're trying to get some high-quality talent, and that's who they got. So, he signed 6 years through 2028, and that's the good news about it with Carlos Correa. So I'm not super concerned, but I am a little bit concerned just because why was it failed? Why did what happened and things like that? So, I mean, it could bite us in the butt, but we'll see. I mean, I think this is good, and I want to come out of this saying that this was a good signing. But the next step, as we all know, is the pitching. They have to go out and get some guys. We're going to talk about that for ARA. So there's a potential guy that they might look into, because if you want to contend, you got to have the right guys. So we'll be talking about that. But yeah, I mean, if this was ARA, stamp of approval. Carlos Correa back. So we'll give it that. All right, Voldy, let's move on to the Timberwolves. They're on a 4-game win streak, like we talked about before the show, and they're playing right now. They're down by 1 to the Pistons, but they're up 10. I don't know what happened, but apparently they're up 1 at half, but it's fine. But moving on here, the Wolves, 4-game win streak. They're starting to get a little bit better. And mind you, I will say that Karl Anthony Towns isn't in that lineup. So, not saying that they played the Rockets. They're terrible. And they're playing the Pistons right now. They should be killing the Pistons right now. But, I mean, there's some growth to be had, and things are looking really good for one person and one person only, Anthony Edwards. He's been on fire these past couple games. He's kind of taken over the offense, and D'Lo, I think's in a good supportive role, which I'll talk about here too. But I almost think that this team needs another piece. And Voldy, I think you know where I'm going with this when I mean another piece.
I think I do.
Our guy, Pat Bev. I think the Wolves need to go out and get him back and get him from the Lakers. Yes, the Lakers are still fighting for playoffs. No, trade for him, put him on our squad. Let's get it done. Let's get Pat Bev in here. So we'll talk about that in a second. But Voldy, with the Wolves being on this 4-game win streak, can we expect this to kind of continue? I mean, yeah, they'll have a loss here or there, but do you think that they'll have some more win streaks, that they'll start to kind of figure it out? And when Cat comes back, maybe they'll integrate him, but they're doing this all without Cat. I mean, is this the time to be like, well, this is officially Ant's team? What do you think?
Well, I would like to think that when Cat comes back, it'd just be another complimentary piece like we've been talking about it since, the likes of, D'Lo came in, then obviously Ant as well. It wasn't solely all on Cat. He didn't have to be the guy.
Sure.
He could be he'd still be a major factor of the offense, but he doesn't have to be the guy. And obviously Rudy Gobert in there as well has been, taking much of the burden as well, of course, with Cat being out. I'd like to see it to be able to work him back into everything, especially after such a long layoff, and then obviously dealing with the injury too. There's going to be some growing pains coming back, shooting as well. That'll be, obviously playing defense on the other end, and how that's going to be, on a night-to-night basis. I don't want to say it's officially Ant's team, but the way he's been playing, the way the Timberwolves have been kind of keeping steady. All is smooth on the ocean right now, and not too rocky, not too high, not too low. But obviously, you can put together a few win streaks here and there throughout the season. It's all about how they're going to be able to progress and take that next step. Even ramping up a little bit on the defensive side, like we talked about last year when they made the playoffs. I mean, obviously, you're going to win and lose a lot of 150 to 140 games, and that's how the nature of the NBA is nowadays too. And that's what the Timberwolves did when they were able to get into the playoffs too, is win a lot of those games, winning ugly, winning by offense and not defense too. But as we head in the second half of the season too, defense is definitely going to be something that's going to be focused on a lot more.
Yep, I agree. And Zoner chiming in here. My main man, J-Man, Jared Doyle. Is Pat Bev the highest we're shooting for? There has to be better options. Well, here's the reason why I bring up Pat Bev. And I believe that that's not the only person that we're shooting for. The reason why I want Pat Bev back on this team is to have that leadership quality that he had.
Right.
And how he was able to work with Ant. He loves Ant. He loves everybody on that team. He loves Minnesota. Why wouldn't you want that on the team? And I'm not necessarily saying that that's the only person we should shoot for. I think they should keep going and adding to the bench. But Pat Bev, defensively solid. He gets into the minds of, he's a villain, and that's kind of how he's supposed to, roll. And that's kind of why teams hate playing against, because he's very good. And he's a very good leader, and he's definitely a guy that's going to go out and give you his all. So I give Pat Bev a lot of credit on that, and I think that they should go out and get him. Now, as opposed to, I don't know when the deadline is. I think it's after. Is it after the All-Star game or before? Yeah, one of those days. But right. I think they're gonna take some time, see how things go, because again, they got Taurean Prince back. He's been playing really well. Coming off the bench, so they have that going for them. But I think if they added that veteran presence, that's going to help them, skyrocket here a little bit in the standings. And I think D'Lo's playing a lot better too. I think the Wolves have done, pretty good with keeping him involved. But a lot of people think that he might be a good trade piece. Sell high right now.
Right.
Which I don't know. It's tough to say, but they're doing a good job of getting guys involved, especially like Austin Rivers. I think that is an underrated player coming off the bench that knows how to, knows how the NBA works and what he does. Jaden McDaniels, fantastic. I mean, they've got a good bench. Let's add a little bit more to it. If they want to get a good, solid piece, maybe they go out and get guys that can come off the bench, and play well, because you got the starters taken care of. I mean, you went out, you got Gobert, and you have Cat, you have Ant. I mean, let's keep giving that ball to Ant. I wouldn't say that they're fully back, because they got to beat these Pistons, man. Because the last time they lost the Pistons, last time they matched up too. So we got that going for us. But I'd say that they're starting to figure it out, and that is the positive in all this. But I also think that they have a tendency to really go on these losing streaks and then saying, we know what the problem is. Well, then what's the problem, Naz Reid? Because he's saying that there's a problem. We know what it is. We have to address it. Apparently right now you guys are addressing it. So that, claps out to the Wolves for that. Right. But let's keep the locker room nice and make sure that everyone's on the same page with how they're supposed to play and whatnot. So I'd say that they're getting there. They're not. I wouldn't say they're fully back, but they're starting to play a lot better. And you need guys like those bench players to step up. But if they're gonna look for maybe some. Like, if they really want to make a big splash, then, yeah, you'd have to give up that piece of a D'Lo or they're not going to give up Cat. I mean, there's just no way at this point.
Too much invested.
But people want – I know people want that to happen, and that's the thing too. So, but Yeah, I mean, we're gonna. It's still very early on, so I think by the All-Star break we'll kind of see like where the direction is heading with this team, and go from there. So hopefully they can keep it going here and get this one against. Now they're up 69-65. So let's keep it like that. We'll keep you posted on the whole thing there. But that'll do it for Tater Tot Hot Take this week. And, Voldy, there was a reason why I didn't start off with our purple. Because we're doing infinity rankings and we're talking about the keys to victory against these Giants. I've got a surprise. Some of you have seen it. Some of you have not seen it. So I'm going to grab this awesome gift that I purchased, and it's for the zoners, and it's perfect for the segment, so it's all cool. But the reveal is going to be pretty epic, or depending on what you think. And if you don't know what it is, please ask in the comments. So I just need to hold on.
It's well worth. Yeah, it's a little clunky to say the. There we go.
The Infinity Gauntlet is here, people. It is here, ready to go. Look at this. I mean, I got all the stones. It's fantastic. That's why, I had to do it for you guys.
Wow.
I had to do it for you. I mean, it's
that is too much.
It's
too much.
I mean, it might be, but at the same time,
it is what it is.
It's badass. That's all I gotta say. It's pretty badass. I'm glad we have it, especially for this segment, because I think we should have something fun for the segment. So, but we're talking Vikings here, and then I'll give you my keys to their victory against the Giants, and then you guys give your thoughts too in the comments. If the Vikings are gonna come out with the W, who needs to go off, who needs to play better, all that stuff. Give me what you got. So we'll go from there. But it's time to get to some. I think this is how it goes, right? Infinity rankings.
While many have power rankings, none have captured them all. It's time for Matty C's Infinity Rankings.
All right, so it's time for some Infinity Rankings. Let us know in the comments what you think. I mean, if you think it's too much, it's too much. But at the same time, I think this is a very cool collector's item, especially for MinneZona Sports Live and Marvel, because I like Marvel too. So we're all big fans. But we'll have to do that some other time. Anyway, Minnesota Vikings, Voldy, they take on the New York Giants. They played before, and we all know what happened. 60-yard field goal, Greg Joseph, Vikings win, all that stuff. But now they get the rematch. I'll get to my keys to victory, and then we're gonna add a little bit more tidbits. So Voldy, hold on to your thoughts, and then we'll get to zoners, and then obviously you throw in your 2 cents, because we definitely need all the analysis that we need for this Sunday. So it's gonna be fun. So anyway, here is the 6 Infinity Stones. Boom! There we go. So we got number 6. So this is what I'm gonna start out with. Number 6. Kirk Cousins. Kirko Chains, as we like to say. Kirko Chains. He needs to have a solid he's gotta have a solid game. And I feel like in any situation with Kirk Cousins, right? He's in the playoffs. This is a meaningful game. Unfortunately, it isn't at 1 p.m. or noon or whatever you want to put it at. But, the NFL is the NFL. I'm not going to say it's going to shut up any of the Kirk haters, but it probably won't, if I'm being honest. But Kirk Cousins, I feel like, is going to be having to prove himself like every single game of the rest of his NFL career. And granted, he is that, I believe he has proven a lot of people wrong, especially this season, and especially with, our team. He's been very good this season. 29 touchdowns. I mean, he had more interceptions, but I think it's because KOC was able to let him know, hey, you can take some shots downfield.
Right.
You can do this. And I think with this Giants secondary, they can be exposed. Yes, they got Landon Collins, but he's like technically a linebacker now or something. I don't
really?
know. But Jefferson cooked him last game, and Hawkinson went off too. So that's another thing. So they're going to key in on that. But Kirk Cousins, I think, has got to be Kirko Chains, throw a couple touchdowns. And, obviously don't throw a costly interception or anything like that. We all know the gist with that. So, Kirko Chain's my number 6. Number 5, Shelley Island. And Duke Shelley has been fantastic for these Minnesota Vikings. I remember that Buffalo game, Voldy, when Cam Dantzler, I think, got hurt or something like that, and we put in this guy, Duke Shelley. Like, who the heck is that? Makes a big play at the end of the game versus the Bills. I think it was Dawson Knox who had it or something like that. Knocked it out of his hands, and ever since that game, he has been fantastic for our Minnesota Vikings. Aggressive tackler. Great cover. He covers some top edge receivers. And, last week, again, the Bears don't have that many good receivers. I get that. But Chase Claypool's not half bad. He got a pick on him, so we got that going for us. There's a lot that you like about Duke Shelley. And if I'm the Giants, I wouldn't go after him. I mean, if you want to test him, fine, but he's going to show you what he's made of, and he's going to use this gauntlet, especially when that happens. So let's be hopeful that he does that. But I think Duke Shelley is going to have a big game opposite Pat Pete, and I think Pat Pete's been very vocal about how good he's been, and the guys love him too. Got a big interception against his former team. So number 4. Feed KJ. KJ Osborn. KJ Osborn has been great this second half of the season. I think it kind of started to get a little bit better once they got past the 33-0 game. They come back, and he was fantastic. I mean, career highs in that game too. But these last couple weeks, especially, we had the bad game at Green Bay, but he played pretty well. And then against the Bears here, I mean, he was making catch after catch after catch. So let's get him involved against the Giants a little bit more. And I don't know if the Giants are going to find a way to defend him because he's finding ways to get open. KOC's doing a great job. But let's keep feeding KJ Osborn here on Sunday. And I think that's going to be key. And I love the way he plays. Him, JJ, and Thielen are just great friends. They cheer for one another, especially after they score and whatnot. It's a great camaraderie, and that's something that I feel like we didn't see much of last year, and now we're seeing a lot this year. So that's great. So feed KJ. Number 3, run game. I think this is a key, and this kind of moves into number 2 here too. But watching that Bears game, there was just something off to me with Dalvin. I feel like when he was hesitating a little bit when he was trying to figure out what hole he's going to hit and where he's going to go, when he should just run. Just go. Just go. That's all you have to do. I love Dalvin and everything like that, but I just think there's just too much hesitation when he goes. But one guy that went full steam ahead was Alexandermattison. I feel like that ground and pound, like I'm just going to hit whatever I see that's open, and he does it, and he does a great job of it. So I think that if you're able to use both of them in this aspect, if you're able to run the ball against the Giants, especially I know we always say this too, like we go against teams that aren't good against the run, but then we end up only getting 70, 80 yards or whatever it is. But if we're able to use both those guys and they don't know how to stop it, we're in good shape. So let's make sure that happens. But there's another piece of the puzzle that needs to happen too, which goes right into my second stone. O-line. So let's just stick with the run game here, okay? Is Bradbury going to be back? We don't know. He's at practice. He was limited in practice. Him and Blake Brandel, which I think is good for depth. So if you're able to get Bradbury back, which Cousins is familiar with, but also there was much better camaraderie between Reed and Kirk Cousins last game. So that's a positive. That's very good for the Vikings in that aspect. But if Bradbury's able to come back, I know people rip him saying like, oh, we got to get rid of him, blah, blah, blah. But I think we've noticed, hey, you know what? He's not as bad as people are making him out to be, because I don't think he's that bad either. But with the run specifically, everyone's got to be on their game. Ed Ingram especially, because sometimes he's had some, bad games. Aliudo's in a tough position with O'Neal being out. That could be our Achilles heel. But then again, guys got to step up. This is the playoffs now. You got to put your pedal to the metal here, especially against a team that has a pretty good defensive line. But after that, I don't think they have much, I will say. But the run game has to get going. They got to open up some lanes for Dalvin and Mattison, and if they want to use Kene or something. Pass blocking. That is a big key, because Kirk's still getting nailed back there too, especially against the Bears. We gotta make sure that he's not getting hit as much, but that's why we need the run game to be effective, because then Kirk's not dropping back super far and getting just destroyed. We need to give him time, and especially for time or for plays to develop and take advantage of, because they talk about there's this Xavier McKinney for the Giants. He's like, well, I would have made a difference if I was in the game, blah blah blah. But who knows? Well, I guess we'll find out on Sunday. But I think that our receivers should be able to exploit that. So we'll see how that goes. Number one, everyone knows this by now. It's the Donatel defense. Mm-hmm. If they are going to win this game, they gave up 400 and some yards to the Giants, and that was their career high when we played them. Yes, we won, 60-yard field goal, all that deal. But they have to be on their game, and this is going to tell a lot. If the Vikings aren't able to at least limit them to, let's ballpark it like 270, 300 or something like that.
Right.
Anything over like 350, I'm probably not going to be very happy with, especially if they give up a lot of points and such. I get the bend but don't break thing, but at the same time, we got to get pressure on the quarterback. Daniel Jones is a runner. Give him that. He will run. But at the same time, we have to have a spy on him. There's got to be a game plan to, stop this team. You've played them once. Figure out those ways. You got to stop Saquon, too. Saquon's going to be a guy that needs to be neutralized, because you don't want their run game to get going, especially with Jones. Their wide receivers, the Hodgins thing, I don't know what happened there, but Pat Pete finally got the pick against him. I don't think we heard much from Hodgins since after that. But they have to be on their game. They might attack the slot a little bit more with Chandon Sullivan, because I think that's maybe somewhat of a weak point there. But it's all on this defense. We need to get pressure. We need Daniil to get to Jones. We need Za'Darius to get to Jones. Wanham, Patrick Jones. Just the whole slew of them. And Donatel needs to have a good game plan ready. Yeah, you can give up a couple touchdowns, fine. As long as they win the game, that's okay.
Right.
But don't keep giving these teams idea, especially for into if they win and they go into next week, going to play the Niners probably. You gotta mix things up. You have to. So, anyway. Those are my 6. Kirko Chains, Shelly Island, feed KJ, run game with Dalvin and Mattison, O-line, run blocking and pass blocking, and the Donatel defense. So, with that being said, Voldy and the zoners, I ask this of you. What do you think of the list? And what would you put in there? Or maybe what would you change around? What do you think?
I think strictly, I mean, you look at the 6 on the list as well. The top 3 are my biggest concerns, too, obviously, how the defense is going to play, because you've already seen what the offense for the likes of, the Giants do bring in with, the last go-around where they had Richie James, Hodgins as well, that did get exposed a little bit and, provide some extra effort. I think the big thing is going to be how the Vikings adjust the running game up against, Saquon Barkley, too, because obviously he's still going to be a big factor on the offensive side, with Daniel Jones also being a formidable runner as well, how they're going to be able to contain him, get pressure without allowing him to get out of the pocket and create something extra downfield as well. So you couple that with the defense and how the defensive backs are going to work too. Obviously, you got Pat Pete, how Duke Shelley. Duke Shelley. I don't know why I thought Jody Shelley. For some reason. Oh, yeah. He's a hockey player. That's why I had Jody Shelley in my mind. Duke Shelley, and then obviously how that depth is going to come in, especially, obviously those guys are going to play every single snap. That'd be great. How's Harrison Smith been doing this week? I don't know. I haven't seen the injury report all too much
practice.
here. Yeah, limited in practice. So he's probably going to be a game time decision if he's not going to be a full go for this Sunday. With it being a late afternoon game, maybe that'll help a few extra hours. But, I just how that back half of the defense is really going to respond. How you couple that all together with the front 7 defending the run too. Yeah. I mean, it's definitely something that I'm a little bit more concerned on. How the running game for the Vikings is going to respond to. Like you said, Dalvin, had a couple interesting opportunities and runs there in that game against Chicago. Alexandermattison, really picked up the slack too. That's really nice to see, because I know that, and all of a sudden too, a lot of hate for Dalvin Cook in that game.
Yeah.
When he, where the hell that come from? I have zero idea when it came to just all of a sudden people are just like, all right, yeah, Dalvin Cook no longer going to be a Viking. Like, where the hell this come from? Like, I hate to say it, like, yeah, Alexander Madison's nice, but he's not Dalvin Cook, I'll say that much.
Yeah.
Solid 2-back, maybe a 1A for any other team too, but yeah, I like having Alexander Mattison as the second running back, but he got a lot of reps in that game. That's going to be huge, especially playoffs time, because they're going to be maybe a game or so where the running game is going to win you a quarter or two, and that's going to come down to this one as well with the Giants. And yeah, I look at it, offensive line with that patchwork group that they've had the last couple weeks, really going to have to be on their A game too. Guys trying to come back, especially in the playoffs, that's really going to be obviously a big help for protecting Kirk Cousins in this contest, because like it said, he's been taking a lot of hits as of late.
Yeah,
but it's going to be very, very crucial, because if they can protect him and keep the defense away and obviously spread the ball out. Kjosborn, like you had mentioned too, getting a lot of love here in the last handful of games, because we already know that Adam Thielen and obviously JJ going to get double teamed. That's going to open up more chances for TJ Hawkinson if he's not going to be dropping the ball or batting it to the other team as well. It's all going to be really paramount. Hey, how about Irv Smith Jr. showing up in the last game of the season, too? I forgot he was even active to begin with. Maybe that'll help out, too, with a solid 1-2 tight end core, double tight end set to help that offensive line in the protection, in the run game. That's just probably opened a whole new set of playbook for KOC now with 2 solid, Pro Bowl eligible tight ends as well with Irv Smith Jr. and TJ Hawkinson. That'll be something I'll keep my eye on, too, with this coming Sunday. So, overall, this is a really solid list. There's no ifs, ands, or buts about it. This will be a cautiously, optimistically good Sunday coming up.
So, here's my next question, because we have to do this since this is playoffs now, especially it being high stakes and everything like that, and whatnot. A lot of people are calling the Vikings frauds, and that's been like that the whole season. The point differential, the this, the that, the getting killed by teams, losing the Packers, all that stuff. But if you really think they're frauds, I mean, why are they 13-4? Oh, they got lucky. Well, guess what? It's the NFL. It's hard to win those games, and whatnot. But Voldy, Zoners, I asked this too in the chat. Do the Vikings win? Give me the score, and give me an MVP of the game. We'll go with that. So let's go to 3. Who you got winning, and score, and then MVP. Voldy, Zoners, what do you got?
Vikings win 31-23 Vikings.
Nice.
And MVP of the game, I'm going to say... you know what? I'm going to say it's going to be Adam Thielen.
Hey!
The MVP of the game.
I like
I think
that.
this might... I really want this one to be the Adam Thielen, welcome, the welcome party opportunity, for him, because I know that he scored a touchdown this past Sunday, but you know what? Obviously, all the spotlight's been on JJ as well. KJ's gotten a lot of love the last few weeks. I'd like to see the coming out party here for Adam Thielen this week.
Let's do it, man. I'm all for it, honestly. I think they could be like, oh, we got to focus on JJ, and then obviously KJ's starting to put it together, and then they forget about Thielen. So
yeah.
That's very possible. I like that. I mean, the Vikings are going to win. What do you think I was going to say? They are going to win. Now, my score prediction here is it's tough to fathom because it's, I've either been really off on my picks or I've really been, spot on. I mean, it's just been sporadic. I mean, call me a fraud, because, you're just getting lucky with the picks and things like that, whatever. This is a game where I believe the Vikings are the better team. The Giants still have a lot to go through. And not saying that they're frauds by any means. I think Brian Daboll has done a good job with this team. A lot of people are picking us to lose this game, which I disagree with. But if we're wrong, we're wrong. And if they get blown out or something, let's hope not. But I don't see this being a blowout. I think the Vikings are in good shape against this team, and they're starting to get guys back. The O'Neal thing definitely hurts, but you're not running into San Fran right away. You're not running into the Eagles right away. You're not running into the Cowboys, even though they're really struggling now. Because who knows if maybe Brady and the Bucs pull it off against them. We don't know. But I will say that they should beat the Giants. And this score might be somewhat surprising, but I'm going with our Minnesota Vikings. I'm going to go 34-21. 34-21, our Minnesota Vikings take down the New York Giants. Now, I think this game's going to be close for a little bit, but I just feel like they're going to be so amped up. The crowd's going to be so ready to go that it's going to be rocking in U.S. Bank Stadium. These guys want to win because they know they're a good team. They're a very good team. There's a reason why they are the record where they are, and it's like, oh, they won all these. It's like, yeah, they won all these close games because guess what? They came back and won. It doesn't matter whether they're down or anything like that. You should ask the Colts how well that went. How that went for them. They are going to beat the New York Giants 34-21. That's what I say. And with that being said, that's going to do it for Infinity Rankings. So here's the list again. 6, Kirk-Cousins. 5, dukeshelley. 4, kjosborn. Run game, Dalvinmattison. O-line, run blocking, pass blocking, and the Donatel defense. My MVP, I almost forgot. My MVP for the game, I'm going Dalvin. A lot of hate for Dalvin. Last week. I'm going with our guy, the chef. The chef's going to get it done Okay? Stop hating on the chef. He's a good player. We're going to hang on to him for a little bit. Shut some people up. I think this is going to be a big Dalvin game. I want this to be a big Dalvin game through the run game and the pass game. So, book it. Let's go. So, that'll do it for Infinity Rankings, and it was fun showing you the new gauntlet. And obviously, when we do the segment, this is what we're going to have, baby. This is what we're going to have. So, it was fun using the gauntlet. And, yeah, like I said, Zoners, let us know your thoughts. If the Vikings are going to get the dub against those Giants, I think they will. I definitely think they will. Voldy thinks they will. So, maybe the national media doesn't, but, hey, that's a whole different story. We're going to leave it at that. So, Skol Vikes, and let's get that dub. Let's get that dub. All right, let's move on to ARA. We've got some good ones. We're talking a little bit of Twins here. There's been, I wouldn't say rumors, but some speculation maybe a little bit. There's some football things, especially with the playoff teams that are in there. And WWE, the last one, WWE, I like it. I think we should get to that too. So let's get it going with some absurd or approved.
It's time for everyone's favorite segment, Absurd or Approved.
All right, it is time for Absurd or Approved. So, Voldy, why don't you rattle them off for us, please?
Well, no surprise in off-season moves that have taken place, and especially with the now fully full roster for the Los Angeles Dodgers and the recent announcement that Trevorbauer's suspension of 324 games was taken down to 194, thus now serving a 50-game suspension into the 2023 season. Trevorbauer is no longer a member of the Los Angeles Dodgers, still going to be paid $22.5 million to not pitch for the Dodgers, as they officially released him this past Friday, right up until the deadline that it was to release him or either add him to the 40-man roster. That means that Trevorbauer is now able to sign with any team, of course, in this other than, he still could technically sign with the Dodgers, I guess, but nonetheless, he's now on the open market for anyone. Now, with the recent news, obviously the Twins have made with signing Carloscorrea to that 6-year, $200 million contract. Do you think the Twins should maybe take a look at adding Trevorbauer to their rotation, or is it absurd or approved that should the Twins take a look at Trevorbauer to adding them to the rotation?
I don't see why it doesn't hurt.
Right.
I think it's got my stamp of approval. It doesn't hurt. Look, you have a pitching staff made up of guys that are, have some promise. I mean, Joe Ryan's a very good pitcher. I think he's definitely our top guy. Sonny Gray's definitely a good number 2. Apparently, and like you mentioned with Maeda coming back, hopefully he can figure some things out with that too. Fingers crossed, but we'll see. But why not give it a shot? I mean, I do not see why not that they can look into maybe bringing him in. Look, you went and you got Correa. Great. Bravo. We like it. It's great. But we all know what the Twins need. They need that pitching. Not only starting pitching, relief pitching. Obviously, do we even know if we have a closer anymore? I mean, who is it? Is that Pagan or who knows? But I think they should definitely look into signing Bauer. Look, I know with the domestic violence, sexual assault, whatever, they went through it, and obviously he was found not guilty. There wasn't enough, and things like that. But not saying that you can go out and say, well, it's like, well, we got to do our research. Yeah, do your research on it. That's fine. But if you're going to have him on this team, he, I think, can be a great help, or he could be bad, and you can get rid of him. It doesn't matter. Go out and take another swing. The fans are going to applaud you if you go out and at least try to get a guy of, what was his caliber at one point, was pretty good. So I'd say, yeah, it's got my stamp of approval. Go after it. See what happens. See how it goes. But, I also think too that they probably won't, especially with with obviously the allegations and everything like that. But why not give it a shot? That's all I got to say with that. So I'd say let's give it a shot, see what happens, offer him, start talking, and add him to, bolster that starting pitching lineup, because it doesn't hurt to have more pitching. Right. So, Voldy, what do you think?
I see this as an opportunity for the Twins to really push themselves out in the right direction and maybe starting to think that they can be serious contenders as well. So it's got my stamp of approval. It doesn't hurt to take a look. Here's what the combination of a 5-man rotation would include for the Twins this season. Sonny Gray, Joe Ryan, Tyler Mahle, Kenta Maeda coming off Tommy John after missing all of this past season, Bailey Ober, Josh Winder, Simeon Woods Richardson, and Louis Varland. At least 2 or 3 of those guys are going to be staying with the Saints out of spring training as well. And it does even throw in Chris Paddock as well, who will probably miss a good portion of the first half of the season, recovering from Tommy John, if not the whole season as well, because the Twins still have him after that Taylor Rogers trade, of course, this past offseason, and allowed him to go to San Diego while the Twins got Chris Paddock as well in return. This could be a good opportunity. He's still a young guy. I think he's 28 right now. Won the Cy Young a couple of years ago. Obviously, all the off-the-field issues, but he's still young. He's a pitcher, man. And obviously, this could be a chance for some of these younger guys like, Joe Ryan, Bailey Ober to learn how to, for lack of a better phrase, learn how to be a pitcher in Major League Baseball. It's not as easy as it looks, even though sometimes it does look as easy as it looks. And he's a baseball nerd, man, is the ultimate end result of it. Again, comes with its own caveat of him being, obviously suspended for 50 games already. So you're not going to see him till, obviously the last 2/3 of the season and be effective nonetheless. How much leeway is there going to be? How much, how many starts is it going to be for him to finally get back into the flow of it, or if he's going to be good from the first, bullpen he throws? There's a lot. It's got my stamp of approval. I think the Twins should go take a look. How much is it going to cost? We'll see about that. Probably in that ballpark again of a high number, but how much investment are you going to put in a guy that hasn't pitched in a year and a half and comes with a lot of baggage that come along with it? But not to quote Coach Prime or anything, it ain't Louis baggage. It's definitely maybe a couple of garbage bags of some stuff.
Yeah. I just Googled Trevorbauer Twins type of thing, and I'm looking at this article, and people think it's a bad idea because of the reputation, and he was once known as, well, maybe he still is, the most hated man in the MLB.
Yeah, he's a bit of a jerk.
We get that, but I also see too that Donaldson was kind of that same way. He's kind of a little bit of a villain, and things like that, but obviously, with anything sexual assault, domestic violence, you take that stuff seriously, obviously, especially for, with what's going on. But, look, it's time to start thinking of getting guys, especially if he's still only 28, give it a shot. Yeah. Stamp of approval. Just give it a shot, see what happens. I doubt it will, but give it a shot. That's all we say. All right, next one, Voldy.
Going to the world of the NFL, obviously this past Monday, Black Monday it was, with NFL head football coaches being released from their positions. Only 2 coaches really got fired at the end of the season. Of course, there were coaches that were released in the middle of the season. Yeah. Matt Rule for Carolina, Frank Reich for Indianapolis, Nathaniel Hackett as well for the Denver Broncos, and of course the Houston Texans let go Lovie Smith, and Kliff Kingsbury is no longer the head man in charge in Arizona. So they're now 5 NFL head football coaches that are open here for their upcoming season. So you look at the list of coaches that did get let go. Kliff Kingsbury still young enough to get his legs back underneath him as well. Does he go back to college? Does he stay in the NFL? Does he become a coordinator, offensive coordinator somewhere? You look at a few other guys that possibility of them returning back to maybe their old stomping grounds. I know that Green Bay is looking at maybe possibly bring back Nathaniel Hackett as well to maybe help bring back Aaron Rodgers for another go-round too. You look at the coaches that were let go this season. Is there a possibility, is it absurd or approved, that some of these coaches could get picked up elsewhere by other franchises for the NFL?
Yeah, I really do believe so. Nathaniel Hackett, I think, is going to find more of a coordinator or a position coach or something, because I think that was a disaster. But I don't think it's all his fault I wouldn't say it's all his fault. Maybe he'd take a little bit of blame, but I just think the direction that they were going with that team was just abysmal and it wasn't good. And Russell Wilson obviously didn't play well. But anyway, besides the point, I would say Kingsbury might have a slight chance. I still think he's somewhat innovative. To say that he was the main reason why they lost, no. I mean, yeah, you had the injuries and things like that, but right. I also think too that when they had that good season, last season, they were able to, catch teams by surprise and everything. But then they went on this streak of just bad games, losing to teams that you shouldn't lose to and things like that. And I think what happened was teams figured them out. I think when Kingsbury came in, you didn't know what you expect and, things like that. But I think people know what to expect now. And I think the reason why they got rid of him is because they didn't see this going in a direction that it would, be positive with the Cardinals. Steve Keim, the GM, obviously stepping down and whatnot. So this is going to be kind of a little bit of a cultural a deal with them. Carolina, I look at and say, okay, I think you have to consider Wilkes at this point because they started to play a lot better. I mean, a lot better once he kind of was at the helm after they let go of we don't pick the starters, Matt Rule. Sorry, shot at him. Just kidding. But that one, the one that I'm still kind of baffled by is the Lovie Smith. The Lovie Smith firing, I feel like was ridiculous. Give the guy at least one more year to figure this out. But then we gotta, you're going through a rebuild anyway. I mean, look what you have right now with that team. I mean, good Lord, but I think he got the short end of the stick there. And, there's really, I think it's ridiculous. I mean, I feel like that organization now is just a complete joke.
Right.
I mean, if they can figure it out with a different head coach, then that's fine. But the organization in general is ridiculous. But I don't know. I don't think Lovey will, but I think Kingsbury's got the best shot. I'll say that. I think some of them will. I mean, it wasn't as bad as we thought with a lot of these coaches, but there are some that you're kind of like, well, they could have gone either way with Kingsbury. Lovie Smith, I thought, was going to stay just give him another year to kind of just build something, but
right.
He did what he could with what he had. Let's just say, but yeah, I'd say Kingsbury would be the guy in my estimation. So, Voldy, what do you got?
I completely forgot that Matt Rule's now head coach at Nebraska. Yeah. He's out of the running there. Mm-hmm. But I think Kliff Kingsbury, I don't think he ever should have left college.
Yeah,
I think he was, at the time when he did leave, still young enough, still able to connect with some of those college kids as well. He was running the show at Texas Tech, man. I mean, he could have very easily surpassed everything that his old coach, rest in peace to Mike Leach, and that air raid offense did, when he was, running the show there down at TTU. And it's unfortunate because, he had a really good run down there. Obviously brought the likes of, Patrick Mahomes to the forefront. Baker Mayfield, he was there for a season too. I think was Kyler there for us for at least a season or something like that, or no? Was that Texas A&M? I think it was.
Yeah,
he was at Texas A&M first, then he went to Oklahoma. But nonetheless, the Kliff Kingsbury stamp on a few quarterbacks in the NFL has been well felt early on, and it's unfortunate that kind of the pro football ranks has kind of tainted that reputation a little bit. So who knows? I think he can still be a coordinator. Who knows? Maybe go back to college and I don't want to say maybe take a coordinator job, but he could definitely run a program somewhere that wants his services anywhere. A little late to the game right now to go back to college, so I don't know if maybe he takes a coordinator job with a pro team somewhere and makes that a year, or maybe even looks at sitting out a year and then go into coaching as well, college-wise. But I think out of this whole list, I could definitely see Kliff Kingsbury getting another job somewhere. And just poor old Lovie Smith. The man is just trying to do what he can to, keep that NFL pension as far away as possible for another season as well.
Yeah.
Going into it was going to be a losing effort nonetheless with all the off-the-field stuff with Houston and obviously the Deshaun Watson, exit out of town and everything with that. What they finished, 4-13-1 or something like that on the season. It was a losing battle from the very beginning as well.
4 wins.
Especially when you got more wins, and then obviously getting a tie like week 1 or week 2 or something like that. You knew something wasn't going to be going good for them at the very jump of it as well. Rebuilding phase. There's a lot of question marks down there. Ownership as well in that factor. Yeah, it's poor Lovie Smith. I think he'll be able to bounce back somewhere as well. But to what capacity of which, I don't know if it'll be a head coaching job or not, but I think he'll be able to bounce back just fine.
Yep. And, I think, the high-profile one right now is that clown Sean Payton. But, it's going to be a sweepstakes for him. Obviously, you look at the Colts gig, too. I mean, who are they going to start to interview and things like that? I think whoever gets Peyton's going to be pretty happy, but then again, it is Sean Payton. So we'll leave it at that. All right, next one, Voldy.
Well, we head to the world of the Pro Football Hall of Fame as the finalist list was announced earlier this week, or this past week, I should say, and does have a lot of familiar faces, some on their first eligible year, some of them on their last ballot, but a lot of strong contenders. Of the notable names from the modern era does include, of course, Darrelle Revis, Joe Thomas, Torrey Holt, Reggie Wayne, Devin Hester, Andre Johnson, Jared Allen, DeMarcus Ware, Zach Thomas, Dwight Freeney, Albert Lewis, Rondé Barber, Patrick Willis, even Darren Woodson, who's still not in the Hall of Fame, a crime within itself. But a strong contention of names. A lot of them Hall of Famers in their own right, but yet we'll wait to see of the semifinalists into the finalist list who gets selected into the Pro Football Hall of Fame, which will be coming up before the Super Bowl in the next few weeks as well. But you see this list, one name sticks out, Jared Allen. Absurd or approved, Jared Allen gets in the Hall of Fame this year.
Stamp of approval. That's what I say, because Jared Allen, again, the stats are there. He led the NFL in sacks twice. He's been a Pro Bowler multiple times. Instrumental in the way that the Vikings played defense back when he first got there, especially the 2009 season and what they were able to do and go on that run and being able to be great on defense. The Williams Wall and Ray Edwards, who we've talked about before, and the corner, or the secondary, the linebackers. I mean, just stacked. And he was the sole reason of that. And he was able to get to the quarterback like he was, even when he was with the Chiefs. I mean, he was that darn good. And then obviously the Vikings go out, trade for him, and he does wondrous things. But if he doesn't, well, it'd be an atrocity. But then again, you never know. But there's a lot of good names on this list. I mean, I think one of them that definitely should, and I think will, Devin Hester. I think Devin Hester definitely deserves to be in. Rondé Barber, yeah. Willis, definitely. Darren Woodson, I thought he already got in, but apparently not. Revis, I think's for sure. Joe Thomas, yeah, he'll get in. Willie Anderson, I don't know. Torrey Holt, yeah, there's a good case there. Reggie Wayne, same deal. Andre Johnson, DeMarcus Ware. Zach Thomas, I think definitely, too. So, I would hope that would happen, but I think Jared's going to get in. I really think Jared Allen's going to get in. It's there. It's unfortunate that he played for those Bears, and I think he played for the Panthers.
When they went to the Super Bowl that year.
That's right. Okay, then I was... there you go. And obviously Jared was there when they went to the Super Bowl. They lost, but but it is what it is. Yeah. I think Jared's going to get in. And obviously he retired as a Viking, and we love that because he loved his time in Minnesota. So, yeah, I think he gets in. Stamp of approval. Voldy, what do you think?
Yeah, got in the Ring of Honor for the Vikings this year. You would think that would kind of set the groundwork for him to get in the Pro Football Hall of Fame. I really hope so that it does happen. But, yeah, Darren Woodson needs to get in. Albert Lewis is in his last year of eligibility on the ballot. He definitely needs to get in as well. I mean, Darrelle Revis, Rondé Barber for sure. Look at Reggie Wayne, Torrey Holt. I mean, he's got to join his teammate Isaac Bruce in the Hall of Fame. Yeah. That needs to happen as well. Zach Thomas, an underratedly great player from his time as well. I think he deserves to be in the Hall of Fame too. I mean, everybody on this list has a strong case. As timing wise, I think Jared Allen's got to get in this year. I think it's got my stamp of approval too.
I hope so. I mean, the sack dance that he had is iconic. It really is. And obviously the Orlovsky thing, I think, will never never get old for him too. So a lot of great moments with Jared Allen. So yeah, let's hopefully he gets in. All right, next one, Voldy.
Well, this is another interesting situation as we head towards the postseason for the NFL. The Dallas Cowboys are going to be matched up with the Tampa Bay Buccaneers in the Monday Night Football wild card contest, which is could be potentially the end of the line for Mike McCarthy. At least that's what some people are saying. But one of them that is not saying that is Cowboys GM, owner, and overlord that is Jerry Jones, basically saying when he was asked earlier this week about whether a loss in the wild card against the Buccaneers could send the swan song for Mike McCarthy. He was fairly empathetic, saying that, he needs to go and look into all the pluses or minuses. I've got a lot more to evaluate with Mike McCarthy on than this playoff game itself. So maybe not. Maybe leaning towards things as well. Of course, the Vikings did take down the likes of Dallas in the wild card. Of course, it was fired after a 27 to actually this was the last coach who took the Cowboys to the playoffs in back-to-back seasons was Chan Gailey back in 1998-99, and he was fired after a 27-10 loss in the wild card round against the Vikings as well after a 2-year run, which had an 18-14 record as well. You look at the history of course, in the more recent history, at least in the last decade, for the Dallas Cowboys, they're not winning, they're losing. And when they lose, boy, do they let the chips fall, and they fall hard. Mike McCarthy into another season here. He's got the Cowboys in position here with, of course, this wild card matchup against Tampa Bay, I should say. If the Cowboys lose in the first round of the wild card, does Mike McCarthy get fired after the loss coming up here potentially on Monday in the wild card round?
Well, let me get to Jerry's comments here. Spoken like a true guy that wants to have Sean Payton. I mean, the guy is just salivating. He's salivating, just hoping that, if the Cowboys just get trounced by the Buccaneers or something, he has a reason to be like, McCarthy out, Sean, come back. you know. And I think it's possible. I wouldn't say it's severely at stake. If they win, obviously he ain't going anywhere. And that's how I look at it, because I think that buys him more time, even if they go on. And I think they would play, if I'm not mistaken, you know, thinking if the Niners beat Seattle, then the Eagles would take on the Cowboys. But if Seattle win, obviously it would be a little bit different. But having that rematch and everything like that would be, you know, a good game, I think. But there's something about McCarthy that I don't like necessarily. And the reason why I say that is because there are times where they can be really explosive and everything like that with Dak and whatnot. And now people are starting to rip on Dak again and all that fun stuff. But it's the Cowboys, and you get that. So it's a big game for Dak Prescott here. But what Jerry's saying is, his job's safe now. But if we lose, I mean, if it's a close one, it's starting to, you know, lean more towards fire, and obviously Sean Payton's out there. He just needs a reason. That's what Jerry needs. He just needs a reason as Dallas Cowboys owner. So I would say that you know what? I'd say it would. I think it's going to be approved that he would if they lose. It would be approved that Jerry will fire him, but they win, obviously. It'd be absurd. But, I mean, it's hard. It'll be hard for Jerry to not pass up that opportunity to get Sean Payton back. So, it wouldn't surprise me. But don't take whatever he says with a grain of salt at this point.
Exactly.
So, I'd say it's approved. I would say it's approved. I think it might happen if under the right circumstance. All right, Voldy, what do you think?
Yeah, I could definitely see this happening as well, just based off the fact of what we've seen out of Dallas, basically the turn of the century as well, since they, last made it to the Super Bowl, and then after that, there's not a whole lot of positivity to talk about there. Jerry Jones, obviously he wants results, he wants them now. The window of the group of players that he has is closing in, and they're not getting any younger. Of course, Dak Prescott, injury plagued the last couple of seasons too. Zeke Elliott's not getting any younger. Tony Pollard still continues to be a dude. Micah Parsons on the defensive side has really established a vulnerable defense to match up against the best in the NFC, and it all starts on Monday against Tampa Bay. If they do lose, I would not be surprised if Mike McCarthy gets fired. To whom he would be replaced with? Well, I know that Sean Payton's getting a look at by Denver. Maybe if that job in Dallas opens up, I don't see why Sean Payton wouldn't take a look at Dallas. Kellen Moore, offensive coordinator. If he doesn't get fired as well, it could be an opportunity for him to get his first head coaching job as well. And out of it all, if they win, should take care of business as well. They lose, definitely going to be that seat a little bit hotter, I should say, for Mike McCarthy. So it's got my stamp of approval.
You can never really trust what they say. That's the big thing. So we'll see what happens Sunday. But I will be rooting for the Buccaneers. I will say that. Mm-hmm. So, all right, last one, Voldy.
Well, this one you kind of alluded to when we started with A, talking about the WWE. There's been a lot of not so good things happening with the WWE in recent months. Of course, the announcement of allegations against Vince McMahon, which led him into retirement as chairman of WWE. But now this week, apparently, Vince McMahon's out of retirement and is returned as chairman of the board for WWE, which then another move was made as of yesterday with Stephanie McMahon, his daughter, and also co-CEO of WWE. She renounced and resigned her position, was also chairwoman of the publicly traded company up until her father's return this past week as well. Everything going into this, there's a lot of big money still left on the table. Things are expiring, contracts, big deals yet to happen as well. Speaking of deals, one of them being of which there's been rumors floating around that quite possibly Vince McMahon coming out of retirement to possibly sell the WWE as well, and their controlling interest in there as well. Is it absurd or approved? Based on the recent events, of course, of the allegations against Vince McMahon, him retiring, now him coming back, Stephanie McMahon now resigning her position as co-CEO, with Nick Khan now taking over as a full CEO of WWE. Is it a possibility? Will we see WWE get sold?
Well, apparently, I think that happened. It went to the Saudis or something like that. Apparently, Vince, that's what Vince did. But, you know, Vince is an egomaniac. And, you know, it is crazy. And, you know, if you look back at the Attitude Era with him, you know, a lot of the storylines and things like that, I mean, it was, I would say it's very graphic. Especially some of the things that Vince did say. Obviously, you get more eyes to it and whatnot, and people have their opinions and X, Y, and Z, blah, blah, blah. But, you know, Vince just, there's something with Vince McMahon. And, you know, it's one of those things where it's like it's hard to trust the guy, and you never know when he's going to fly off the handle. And even when you try to have an honest conversation and things like that, it's always Vince's way. It's always Vince's way. That's how he did it. That's how Dad did it. All that stuff. We get it. But and this is from an outside opinion here, but ever since Vince has left, and apparently from what I'm reading here, Triple H, who again, I love Triple H. I love Paul Levesque. He's done a fantastic job as the creative director, or however or chief content officer, excuse me. And I mean, they're getting a lot of cool storylines. It's fresh, it's new, and everything like that. Whereas Vince has to have his hands in everything, and he's got to, you know, make sure everything is all going the way it's supposed to, how he does it, and X, Y, and Z. But for him making this move, I mean, it just shows what lack of trust he has with leaving it to other people. And having Steph resign tells me there's some family infighting going on. And Vince wanted to come back. The guys are like, why? I mean, you have these allegations, things like that. I mean, I think there might be some more coming out here. So I think Vince is kind of, as they say in the business, he turned heel.
Oh, yeah.
And, I just think Vince is an egomaniac. And now that this whole ordeal has happened, I don't know. I mean, this could get really messy. Could get very messy, especially with Triple H still being, the chief content officer and whatnot. Right. And, I mean, his wife's just resigned. Like, how is this going to work? So, I would say with Vince coming back and just trying to take it all over back again because it's mine and blah, 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 blah. Vince, you got to know when your time's up, man. I mean, and especially with the way things are, and especially when you have another AEW, I believe, that's starting to, rivaling you now. It's like, oh, they'll fall off. Well, they're doing quite well. So a lot of former WWE guys there too. So, yep. Yeah, they will be. I think they will be, because Vince is like, if it can't be in my hands, well, it can't be in anyone else's, whatever. So, yeah, I'd say it's approved. I think somehow, some way. So, Voldy, what do you think?
Yeah, looking at obviously everything that's happened in the most recent months, and him retiring, and now Stephanie McMahon resigning her position, a lot of it's going to be focusing into the media rights negotiations as well. Obviously, with the USA Network, they have Monday Night Raw, and then Fox now with Friday night SmackDown. Both those contracts are set to expire at the end of this year. So what does that mean? Does that mean that are they going to renew those contracts? Where are we going to be going with that? And this is maybe WWE just going to go into business for themselves and host their programs, because obviously pay-per-view events are now premium live events now. Peacock. Apparently, on the cock itself, and there's a lot more, because the streaming is now the way things have gone. With those premium live events and those once pay-per-view events, Monday Night Raw, Friday Night SmackDown, seeing them on Fox USA Network, that's just the way things have been. I know the Friday Night SmackDown on Fox has been, I think that at least the last 2 years, if not the last 3 years.
Yeah, something like that, yeah.
It's been on there long enough to establish itself, but, Monday Night Raw on USA Network has been at least 15, if not close to 20 years, I think. Pretty close to.
Yeah, it's been a long time there.
Because I remember when it used to be on Spike TV, when it was TNN, and then it turned to Spike TV, and then it then went into USA Network, and I think it's been at least 15 years
it's been a while, yeah.
there, too. So, it's going to be a very palpable situation. There must be some sort of animosity going on, but Vince McMahon just coming out of retirement, maybe he just got bored was the thing, and not, very well could have just been bored and said, I should probably go. Obviously, the allegations that were put against him with the allegations against him using his own money for those payoffs as well, with non-disclosure agreements in the mix too. Certainly a lot of hot water there, but whether they're going to get sold or not, I don't think they can get sold. But somebody throws enough money at Vince McMahon, I think he'll definitely take a very serious look as well. I just wonder what this means now, and how everything with the timing of Stephanie McMahon stepping down from her spot as well, how that's going to affect the overall how things are going to play out at the of what we see on TV and what content is produced as well from that side of everything too.
Well, let me add this with it too. This is just rumors, but obviously we'll see what happens here. But apparently for WrestleMania, they were, or maybe that's still the plan, but they were going to have Rock versus Roman Reigns for the undisputed title. So bringing back that, and I'm just saying that's a big event that do they have to scrap it? Maybe not, but that's just a rumor. I don't know if that's going to happen, but we'll see. I don't know. But there's a lot of stuff going on with them right now, and it's going to get messy, I think. So we'll see. All right. I think that's going to do it for ARA this week. Great job, as always, Volde. And we got some good Shield shout-outs coming up here, especially some career 50th career touchdown for a certain somebody. And again, a favorite of ours, a Zona favorite, and some twins, some jackrabbits. There's a lot of stuff going on with Shield shout-outs this week, so let's get it going. What's up? Shield shout-outs.
Shield shoutouts.
All right, Shield, who ya shouting out tonight?
Well, of course, we do have to send a Shield shout-out. Obviously, the closing out of the regular season for the NFL did bring up Kyle Rudolph, former Vikings tight end, who scored his 50th career touchdown in the loss, I should say, against Atlanta for the Tampa Bay Buccaneers, catching a touchdown pass from Tom Brady. So a big Shield shout-out to Rudy in that regard. The announcement, of course, with the College Football Playoff National Championship from earlier this week. There was also the announcement of the College Football Hall of Fame inductees that will be taking place, one of which, wide receiver, kick return specialist, that being out of Mizzou, Jeremy Maclin, going to be going to the College Football Hall of Fame as part of the class of 2023. And you know what? Well, we're going to put our feelers out here. See if we can get J-Mac to come on the show, the Mac Attack. Want to talk about those days at Mizzou, playing in the NFL, obviously now being a high school football coach, too. Would love to get the Mac Attack on the program as well. Speaking of college football as well, the FCS National Championship taking place. The SDSU Jackrabbits defeating their rival in NDSU down in Frisco, which did finally bring the opportunity for a couple of Madison, South Dakota natives, a couple of former Bulldogs turned Jackrabbits, Jaden Jackson Yankee, the Yankee twins, winning a national championship, and said that they're going to be coming back, of course, for their next and hopefully final season as well. I think they've been with the program now. 2018 was their first year, so they'll be coming back for another go-around as well to run it back with the Jackrabbits. So shield shout-out to them on winning the Natty as well. And then, unfortunately, some somber news, but, hopefully good news in the future as well. Former Twins pitcher and now current White Sox closer Liam Hendriks announced that he's going to be going under treatment for Hodgkin's lymphoma as well. So hopefully the cancer treatment, and that will be kind to him as well. So we do send our well wishes to former Twins pitcher Liam Hendriks in his journey battling through cancer.
Yep, definitely. Thoughts and prayers to Liam Hendriks and whatnot. And yeah, a lot of cool ones. Yeah, J-Mac, man. I think for even Sports Zone days, we've talked about him a long time.
Sure.
Kyle Rudolph, our friend of the MinneZona Sports Live. We're so happy for him and whatnot. Catching a touchdown pass from none other than Tom Brady, the GOAT. So there you go. I mean, stamp of approval all around. So great job with Shield shoutouts this week, Voldy, as per usual.
Thanks, sir.
And again, congrats to our guy Ryan. Come on, winning Pick'em. I know it's gross, I mean, how could you not like that smile? I mean, it's always fun, but he is wearing a Red Sox thing, so that's got your stamp of approval. So, but he won the Pick'em by 1 against me, so I'll give Coom that. But we got to get Coom on the show. We got to get him on the show here. So, all right, as we always do, we've got merch, people. We got some awesome merch. We've got a $20, $5 shipping hats. We have shirts. The regular shirts are fantastic, $20, $5 shipping, as are the hats. But you got to get them quick because they're starting to dwindle a little bit. So we have one gray shirt left, one XL left. So make sure if you're interested, we got you covered there. And we got stickers. We're starting to run out of those too, and we've already been talking to Tyler. Hopefully, get some more here for you guys. The small ones $2, big ones $3 as well. You know the drill with those. And shout out to W2 Performance for Will Ortel, him doing awesome stuff on the YouTubes, social medias, the whole kit and caboodle. Thank you to National Fleet Graphic, Crown Rental, Tyler Knutson. And big shout out to the victorious P.O.D. with Jack Vickers and Ryan Herman now, since Walters is taking a little bit of a leave, but we're not letting him off the hook.
No.
He's got something to answer for because he might win Most Absurd Statement of 2022. So we'll see. We shall see, but it'll be fun. But if the zoners, this is a thing for you guys too. Since we have wrapped up Pick'em, you still can do somewhat of a pick'em with the victorious P.O.D. They're doing a playoff picks, so make sure you check out what they got. They have a link and everything. We'll be posting it on our social medias here soon, and hopefully you guys make your picks and see where it goes. It's totally free, or if you want to throw in $5, go right ahead. So a lot of cool stuff going on. But that'll do it for episode 134 episodes of MinneZona. Guys, we're getting close to our 3-year anniversary. Getting close to our 3-year anniversary. Make sure that you guys have stuff ready because Zony Awards are coming up. Best Guest is going to be very interesting. Those will be posted soon, so we'll keep you in the loop on that. So anyway, thanks for tuning in. And remember, as always, folks, keep in the zone.
Holla!
Thank you for watching MinneZona Sports Live. Join us Wednesdays at 7 p.m. for live show broadcast. And as Voldy likes to say, follow us on all the socials medias.